So what's up, guys? I hope all is well. I feel pretty fortunate that I get to go riding. Those of you that own a motorcycle, you'll know what that feeling's like. Those of you that don't, well, maybe you can live that through us. So today I'm going out and I want to talk about, it's been a little over 3 months since I've got this R1. It's 2009 R1 Yamaha in the red and white color. It's my second dream bike. I don't know if you had a chance to watch my other video that I talk about the R7, which is actually my dream bike. But this is probably a better fit for me. Because I'm a big guy, I don't know, 6'4". I weigh 240. I'm trying to get back down to my playing weight, which is 220. And it's been a struggle. You know, I've never really been one that has been undisciplined. But I'm finding myself undisciplined. So I've got to get back into the mindset of being disciplined and setting goals and all that stuff. Anyway, about this bike. So like I said, it's been a little over 3 months since I've owned this bike, and I want to talk about the pros and cons, the things I like and the things I dislike about this bike that is my R1. Man, where to start? It's my first bike that I've ever owned. The only other bike that I've ridden was my brother's TLR, Suzuki TLR. It's like 1,000 cc. It's a 2-cylinder, 4-stroke. It's a 4-cylinder cross-plane. So right off the bat, there's a huge difference. I mean, his bike was a lot older. This bike is so much stronger than that bike. And I got the 2009 because of the cross-plane shaft. I wanted to get a cross-plane shaft Yamaha because of the sound. The sound is, without a doubt, very, very unique. If you like the Ducati sound, the Yamaha has that sound. Very, very unique to the motorcycle with the cross-plane shaft in it. So I knew that I was going to get a Yamaha. I knew that I wanted to get the red and white color scheme because the R7 color scheme, the red and white color scheme, was just absolutely gorgeous. And I knew that I wanted to get the crossplane, quite frankly, because, you know, I had listened to plenty of different motorcycles on YouTube. I did a lot of research, and the crossplane was just something that I just had to have. So the things that I like, everything about the bike, quite frankly. I love the feel. I love the low grunt RPMs of it. I absolutely love how it sounds as it takes off. How it feels, the acceleration as it takes off. Now I have the A&R race baffles, so if you looked at the bike from just looking at it from, you know, standing next to it, you would think it had not with the bike not turned on, you would think it just had the standard stock mufflers, and it has the outside mufflers, but it's got the race baffles inside, the A&R race baffles inside, and it just sounds beastly. And I don't know if I want to change. I don't know. It's got the M4 mid-pipe, so the catalytic converter's gone, and but the sound of the A&R race baffles sounds just as good as some of the aftermarket stuff. So I don't know if I want to change it. you know, I like the look of the aftermarket stuff. I kind of like that look a little bit better than the stock look, but I also like the stock look. So if there was one thing that I may change down the road with regards to the exhaust system, it may be, you know, getting, you know, a couple actual slip-ons. And, you know, but other than that, I really like the way it sounds. And I'm going to go up here and tape some drive-bys so you guys can get a sound of that. Other things that I like. Well, let's talk about the things I dislike. I dislike how hot this thing gets. It runs hot during the summertime. You know, just cruising there. If you're just cruising through city streets, some stop and stop and go traffic, you know, the fan will kick on quite frequently. It gets up to 220 degrees pretty quickly, and I think the fan kicks on at 217 or 223, somewhere around there. So it kicks on relatively quickly. And I've heard that you can flash the ECU and have the fan turn on, you know, at any degree you like, you know. So for me, probably 210 is probably winning, because I'm more than likely going to get my ECU flashed at some point. And that's one of the primary reasons would be to have that fan kick on a little bit sooner. I have changed the coolant to engine ice, and I just recently did that last weekend, and it's in the winter time, so I don't anticipate me noticing any difference. Like, I've been riding probably for 10 minutes right now, and because it's cold outside, the bike is still at 162 degrees. Now I'm only going 55 miles an hour, but so that's one of the things that is kind of annoying. I don't mind it so much, because when you're riding, you know, like if you're on the highway or if you're on a road like this right now, you never even know the difference. The bike will stay around 185 degrees, and it's not that big of a deal, even if it's, you know, 110 outside. As long as it's getting air, it'll stay relatively cool. It's only when you get caught up in the stop and go traffic that it seems to be kind of a little bothersome. So with that said, what else do I not like? I have some aftermarket things on there, and I have an aftermarket seat. The guy that I bought the bike from had put on some aftermarket stuff. A guy named Kevin back east, and he had put an aftermarket seat on. Obviously, he put the race baffles in. He put some aftermarket gear levers, which are just awesome. And he put an aftermarket tank, you know, tank grips, which are nice and thick. Man, they're good quality. So, but the seat, and because I've never ridden on R1 with regular stock seats, the seat is angled pretty aggressive forward. So I tend to slip forward in the seat a little bit, and I don't know if that's normal for R1s in general. I do remember that I didn't necessarily have that feeling with the TLR that my brother owns. So that's one of the things, but you get used to it. You know, you get used to that feeling, and it's not that big of a deal. You just slip forward and you hold the tank with your legs, and that's where the tank gripper, the tank tape comes into play, and it just becomes part of your riding style. So not that big of a deal. I did do a chain adjustment 2 or 3 weekends ago, and I noticed after I did that chain adjustment that going from gear 2 to gear 3 was a little difficult. So I readjusted it and added a little bit more slack, and that seems to have taken away most of that issue. And I don't know if I have heard that there's a spring in there that can sometimes get bent or break, and that can cause issues with the gear changing aspect of the gearbox. So I don't know if my bike is starting to go through that process. Maybe that spring is stretched out. I don't know. But at this time, it seems to have, at least that issue is dissipated. So it may have just been that I had the chain, the drive chain, tightened a little bit too tight. And I know that it had plenty of play on it, but you know, talking to my brother, he says you got to make sure that you check the chain when you've got weight on it. So I checked the chain when I got weight on it, and there wasn't that big of a difference, but I decided just to loosen it up a little bit, and that seems to have resolved the issue for the most part. What else? The mirrors, and again, I don't know if this is just pertinent to the R1, but the mirrors, you know, you can't really see a whole lot out of the mirrors. If I want to see directly behind me, I got to move my arm, and I'm okay with that. You know, I know a lot of guys ride without the mirrors, and they just turn around and look. You know, I'm kind of a cautious rider. I like to use my mirrors, but I don't know, you know, without I guess the mirrors, you get mirrors that stick out a little further, but I don't necessarily want that. I just tuck my arms in a little bit and we're good to go. But other than that, you know, the heat, you know, is really my only issue. The heat is really my only issue. Other than that, I absolutely love the bike. Would I, if I had to do it all over again, would I buy a different bike? Nope. Nope. I don't have any doubts that this is, you know, and that this is, you know, a perfect bike for me. I love the size. Voila, you got a 1000cc bike as your first bike? Yeah, I did. You know, and I did that because I didn't want to work my way up, you know, from a 300 or a 250 to a 600 to eventually getting a leader bike. I knew I was going to get a leader bike. And I also understand that maybe not necessarily the smartest way to go about it, as, you know, getting a leader bike as your first bike. However, and this is specifically related to an individual's personality, if you are aware of the trouble that you can get into, I'm a mature dude. I'm just going to say it, I'm a mature dude. Had I bought this bike 10 years ago, it would have been a bad decision. Because at that point, I was a very, very aggressive individual, had an aggressive mindset, you know, but right now I'm not. I don't need to prove anything to anybody, especially to myself. And so I understand the safety concerns that a first-time rider would have getting a big leader bike. And you know, I'm a very cautious rider. I'm a very cautious driver, with that said, you know. So I don't have a problem. I haven't run into any problems riding this bike. Probably the only problem I've had is not being aggressive enough on my braking, you know, and sometimes getting a little bit out into the crosswalk when I get caught on a light, in between lights. But other than that, you know, and I certainly understand how that can be problematic in a traffic situation, and that's why when I'm in and around cars, I drive extremely safe. So I don't know if that helps you or not. The R1, at least for me, is a perfect bike. I don't have any regrets. I am so happy with it. If I could, I'd buy 3 more. If I could, I'd buy 6 more, so I'd have one for every day of the week, but I would certainly be divorced. Hell, this bike almost caused a divorce. And my wife is at least being good enough to just not even say anything anymore. I'm going ride. I'll tell her I'm going riding, and she'll say, okay. You know, that's about as much as I get from it. So anyway, I'll probably give a 6-month update and a year update, you know, and if I run into any problems on my R1, I'll certainly talk about it. But to date, I couldn't be happier. And I hope that you guys, whatever bike you end up getting, becomes your dream bike and your perfect bike. And I hope that you ride safe and everything is how you hope for it to be every day you go out riding. All right, fam. Till next time we meet, have a great day. Be good and be kind.